Hello, you're watching Eye on Africa. I'm James Creedon. A catch-up of our headlines from across the continent this evening. Now, it's a controversial treatment for COVID-19, but with an increasing number of proponents. Tunisia is getting ready to manufacture its own supply of the anti-malaria drug, hydroxychloroquine. We'll bring you a report from Tunis, and we'll talk to a research doctor in Algeria about a clinical trial there that's been undertaken. And in Rwanda, commemorating the genocide of the Tutsis is a more discreet affair this year. We'll take a look at how Rwandans are remembering the tragedy 26 years on. Thanks for watching France 24's Eye on Africa. Now, a debate is raging globally over the effectiveness of the anti-malaria drug hydroxychloroquine in treating COVID-19. But in Tunisia, despite some uncertainty, there are moves to begin manufacturing the drug. Locally, the country is preparing for a rise in hospital admissions linked to the pandemic. So far, doctors have been using imported hydroxychloroquine. So how is the country's pharmaceutical sector preparing to step up and to step into that breach? Our reporters went to find out.
In this laboratory, work has continued non-stop since the coronavirus began to spread. Only half as many are on duty at a time, but together the shifts are working 24/7 to manufacture drugs to combat the virus. They're now focusing on the production of chloroquine to treat patients.
Au niveau des laboratoires Algeria, groupe Kileni, on a commencé à penser au développement du générique de l'hydroxychloroquine bien avant l'apparition de la pandémie de coronavirus. Depuis la fin de l'année 2019, on a planifié de travailler le développement de ce générique parce qu'il y a plein de patients qui sont atteints de deux pathologies, le lupus et la polyarthrite rhumatoïde, qui ont besoin de cette molécule.
The laboratory built up stocks of raw materials to be able to manufacture quickly and locally. Doctors are currently using Plaquenil, a brand of chloroquine, to treat some COVID-19 patients, but that's an imported drug. A local generic version could help in case stocks run out.
Nous, on a déjà fabriqué une première quantité qu'on pourra commercialiser une fois on a l'autorisation du ministère. Et on a placé une bonne commande de matières premières pour pouvoir enchaîner. Et certain qu'il n'y aura pas de pénurie et on aura de l'autosuffisance.
While waiting for authorization to market it, Tunisia, like other countries, has seen debate over the side effects of chloroquine. Many doctors are in favor of this treatment under certain conditions.
Nous sommes pour parce qu'il y a quand même des résultats positifs qui ont été décrits, que c'est un médicament qui est disponible chez nous, qu'il a relativement peu d'effets secondaires et que nous avons les moyens de surveiller les patients pour reconnaître le plus rapidement possible l'apparition d'effets secondaires. Et donc il est indispensable d'expliquer aux patients quels sont les risques qu'il encourt, que ce médicament est encore à un stade d'expérimentation dans cette pathologie, qu'on n'est pas sûr de son efficacité et qu'il a des effets indésirables.
The country, technically on lockdown since March 22nd, hasn't seen its peak in cases yet, but is taking its chances on chloroquine in its preparations.
Now we can cross to Algiers now to speak with Dr. Idir Bitam. Dr. Idir Bitam, you are a Director of Research at the University Hospital Marseille, where the controversial, some call him controversial, microbiologist Professor Didier Raoult is based. I understand that you have been involved in a clinical trial using hydroxychloroquine in Algeria. Can you tell us how that trial went?
Thank you. Yes, the hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin antibody is very, very interesting therapy for COVID-19. In Algeria, we have tested about 170 people, and the result is very, very interesting. We have obtained 97% is positive to health.
So this is similar to trials conducted by Dr. Raoult in Marseille, but there were a lot of criticisms here in France of the methodology of those studies. The second trial he undertook was not peer-reviewed. What do you say to those critics of the studies done on hydroxychloroquine, that it's not reliable? What do you answer to that?
The hydroxychloroquine additionally with azithromycin is very important and is very interesting, the protocols, because the majority of complications after pulmonary complication is bacterial pneumonia. This additional with antibody is very, very important. And we have obtained 97% of the people is good illness.
Okay, well, Dr. Idir Bitam, thank you for telling us about that trial conducted in Algeria using, in part, hydroxychloroquine with 97% successful results in that particular trial. Thank you for talking to us on France 24's Eye on Africa. Now, there had been hopes that another much more deadly disease had been wiped out in DR Congo, but a new case of Ebola has been detected in the east of the country. The 26-year-old man was the first person diagnosed with the disease in over 50 days. The current outbreak of the disease began in 2018, but has significantly tapered off in recent months to the point where the government was set to declare the disease eradicated.
It's a big surprise because the last 52 days there were no case at all, and we were about 2 days to celebrate the end of Ebola. So what we are going to do now is to investigate the case, because it's a case that we don't know where it comes from. Not someone that we were following. So in the next coming hours and days, we will know exactly what it is about.
Now, to the surprise of many, Cameroon's President Paul Biya has not spoken out about the coronavirus outbreak since the beginning of the epidemic. Instead, the country's Prime Minister has overseen announcements about various measures put in place to contain the spread of the disease. So far, some 600 people have been diagnosed in the West African country. This report by Patrick Fandiot and Léane de Bassompierre.
Cameroon's President Paul Biya is one of few heads of state who's yet to make a public address since the coronavirus was declared a pandemic last month. And it's something these newspaper readers on the streets of Yaoundé have noticed.
Nous avons vu par exemple dans d'autres pays où le chef de l'État, les chefs d'État étaient vraiment présents devant leur population, mais nous sommes déçus de voir que notre chef d'État est absent.
Comme c'est le père, il prend son temps. Le moment peut-être pour lui n'est pas encore arrivé pour voir ses enfants, mais je crois qu'il est en train de se préparer.
Cameroon is the second most affected by COVID-19 in sub-Saharan Africa, and wearing a mask has been made compulsory in public transport. According to authorities, the response to the virus is being led by the presidential palace on the instructions of the 87-year-old president, whose last public engagement was a month ago and was last addressed to the nation on February 11th. Faced with the spread of the virus in the capital, the opposition leader is in self-isolation at home. For 15 days, Maurice Kamto has been asking Paul Biya to show himself, but his calls have been in vain.
Lorsque le pays est en péril, lorsqu'il y a un danger grave, comme la pandémie du Covid-19, on attend du commandant en chef qu'il soit aux commandes. Et une armée ne peut pas gagner une guerre en se contentant des effigies du commandant en chef.
Faced with what he calls the failure of Paul Biya, the opposition leader launched a humanitarian fundraiser to fight the spread of the virus. But a call for donations was immediately declared illegal by the government.
Dès lors que le chef de l'État a tracé le chemin, ceux qui veulent piétiner nos lois, ils vont nous trouver sur leur chemin. Nous avons demandé à M. Kamto d'arrêter cette activité. Nous avons d'ailleurs demandé à toutes les banques de clôturer les comptes.
Political tensions against the backdrop of a health crisis and the succession of a president who has reigned for 38 years on everyone's mind.
In Rwanda, the 26th commemoration of the genocide of the Tutsis began on the 7th of April, but all scheduled events have been cancelled because of coronavirus restrictions. Now, one small ceremony did take place behind closed doors at the Gisozi Memorial. President Paul Kagame was in attendance. Rwandans have been invited to commemorate the anniversary in their homes. Simon Wolfhart has more.
Never during this period of commemoration has the Nduba Memorial been so empty. His grandfather, father, brother. Ernest finds himself alone in front of the names of the 18 members of his family who disappeared in the genocide. TNS is a member of Ibuka, an NGO that works for the memory of the Tutsi genocide and takes care of the memorial.
dufite utugari turindwi rero bose baba baje bari hano gutya mu minsi ishize bwana amashuri yabaga adahari ariko babaga bari hariya gutya bari hariya twaza baturuka mu muhanda uyu nguyu turutse hepfo hariya iyo tugenda tunyura ahangaha tumaze kuzenguruka hano baba ari benshi rero cyane baba ari benshi.
This year, Rwandans must remember their dead at home with their families. Acknowledging this difficult time, President Kagame spoke to the nation in a televised address.
Ntibishobora kutubuza kuzuza inshingano yo kwibuka no guha icyubahiro abo twabuze no gukomeza abarokotse.
TNS worries about the isolation of traumatized neighbors.
Umenya amakuru ya Mukashyaka n'ayadera.
A psychologist has advised him on how to talk to those suffering trauma.
Je suis inquiète surtout des mamans, des femmes, victimes de violences sexuelles qui vivent seules dans leur maison, qui n'ont plus d'enfants, qui n'ont plus de famille. Je me demande comment ils vont passer leur nuit. Je me demande comment ils vont se souvenir de ce qu'ils ont subi. Je me demande comment ils vont faire pour tenir le coup.
For now, the country will have to reflect in isolation until the end of the quarantine.
All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching and good night.